The village of Amankwu rested quietly between two ancient hills, as though the land itself had chosen to shield it from the noise of the world. Red earth paths curved gently between clay houses roofed with rusted zinc and palm fronds. At dawn, smoke rose lazily from cooking fires, coiling into the pale morning sky like unanswered prayers. The people of Amaraku lived simple lives. They farmed the land, fetched water from the river, and gathered under moonlight to tell stories older than memory. Yet, beneath their quiet routine lay something heavy, something unspoken. Amaraku remembered pain. The soil had absorbed tears. The river had carried away dreams, and in the middle of the village, beneath a twisted udara tree, whose roots clawed the earth like fingers, stood a forgotten shrine. No songs were sung there, no offerings were made there. Only silence lived there. Inside the shrine rested the crystal heart. The shrine was small and broken, its stones chipped by rain and time. Children were warned never to go near it. Mothers pulled their children's hand tighter whenever they passed that part. Even the bravest men avoid resting beneath the Udara tree. The crystal heart sat on a low stone pedestal. It was shaped like a human heart, smooth and flawless, yet cold to the eye. Light lived inside it, not bright, not dark, but something in between. It streamed slowly, as if breathing. The elders said the crystal heart was older than Amaraku itself. They said it once saved the village during a time of great sorrow, but at a terrible cost. Since then, it had been left alone, sealed in silence. Some burdens, the elders warned, are too heavy to be carried twice. And so the crystal heart waited. At the edge of Amaraku lived a girl named Nkiru. Her house leaned slightly to one side, as though it too was tired. Nkiru rose before dawn every day. She swept the compound, fetched water, cooked what little food there was, and kept her eyes lowered. Her aunt fed her when she remembered. Her cousins spoke to her only when they needed something. No one beat Nkiru. No one comforted her either. She had learned early that silence was safer than asking. At night, when the village settled into sleep, Nkiru lay awake on a tin mat, listening to the sound of crickets and distant drums. Her chest often ached, not sharply, but deeply, like a wound that had learned to stay open. She did not know why her heart felt so heavy. She only knew it did. One night, the moon rose full and pale, washing Amaraku into silver light. Nkiru stepped outside to cool her thoughts. The air felt strange, thick, restless. Without meaning to, she began to walk. Her feet carried her past familiar compounds, past sleeping goats, past the laughter of elders still awake by a fire. She did not stop until she stood before the Dara tree. The shrine waited in shadows. Nkiru's heart began to pound. She had had the warnings. She knew she should turn back. Yet something inside her whispered, not with words, but with feelings, "Come!" Her hands trembled as she stepped inside the shrine. The crystal heart glowed softly, as though it had been waiting. The moment Nkiru touched the crystal heart, the world fell away. Pain rushed into her, not sharp pain, but deep sorrow layered upon sorrow. She saw faces she did not recognize, felt loss she had never lived, heard cries swallowed by years of silence. Her knees gave way. She wept openly, her tears falling onto the stone floor. But beneath the sorrow was warmth, gentle and steady, like arms holding her together when she thought she would break. The crystal heart reflected everything she carried and everything the village had hidden. When Nkiru finally pulled away, her hands were shaking. The crystal heart dimmed. Nkiru stumbled home before dawn, changed in ways she could not explain. From that day on, Nkiru noticed things others ignored. She saw hunger behind smiles, loneliness behind anger, fear behind harsh words. She began to sit with people instead of passing them by. She listened, she shared what little she had. Sometimes she said nothing at all. Yet, people felt lighter after being near her. She has a listening spirit, they whispered. She carries sorrow without turning bitter. But Nkiru herself grew quieter. At night, chest full, as though too many emotions were pressing against her ribs. Still, she did not complain. She believed this was simply what caring felt like. She did not know she was slowly becoming the vessel the crystal heart had always waited for. The elders began to watch her. They recognized the signs, the gentleness, the heaviness, the way people leaned towards her as if seeking rest. One evening, the oldest elder called her name. "You touched it," he said quietly. The crystal heart. Nkiru lowered her eyes. The elders told her the truth at last. The crystal heart was created to hold sorrow, but when it overflowed, it chose a human heart strong enough to feel everything. Love, the elders said softly, is the most beautiful burden. That night, Nkiru returned to the shrine, not in fear but in understanding. She placed both hands on the crystal. Her tears fell freely as she whispered, "Let me help them breathe." The crystal heart glowed brighter than ever before. As dawn broke over Amankwu, something shifted. People woke up feeling lighter. The air felt softer. The village breathed. But deep within the shrine, a faint crack appeared in the crystal heart. After the night, the crystal heart glowed brighter than dawn. The village of Amankwu changed in quiet ways. People smiled more easily. Children slept without crying. Quarrels ended before voices rose. No one spoke openly about it, but many felt they lighter. And without knowing why, they began to drift towards Nkiru. Mama Ebele came first, sitting beside her one afternoon with trembling hands. She spoke of a son buried years ago, of words never said. When she finished, she sighed a deep, long breath and stood up straighter than she had in years. Others followed. A farmer whose crops had failed, a woman whose marriage had grown cold, a boy who feared his father's anger. Nkiru listened to all of them. She never pushed them away. At night, when Amaraku slept, Nkiru did not rest. Her dreams grew crowded. Faces filled her sleep. Tears soaked her mouth before she realized she was crying. Some mornings she woke already tired, her chest aching as if it had carried stone all night. Her aunt noticed. "You are becoming lazy," she snapped one morning. "You think sadness feeds a child?" Nkiru nodded and said nothing. Silence has always been her shield, but even silence could no longer keep the weight away. The crystal heart began to change. Its glow grew uneven. Sometimes it shone too brightly. Other times it dimmed as if exhausted. Thin lines, barely visible, spread slowly across its surface like veins. The elders noticed. They gathered in whispers, fear returning to their eyes. "The burden is glowing," one said. "She cannot carry it forever," another said. Yet no one spoke to Nkiru. They had grown used to the peace. One evening, Nkiru found a boy sitting by the river bank, nails drawn to his chest. His name was Chima, a quiet child known for staring too long at nothing. She sat beside him without asking. After a long silence, he spoke. "My mother says my heart is weak," he said. "She says I cry too much." Nkiru felt something tear gently inside her. She placed a hand over his small one. "A heart that feels," she said softly, "is not weak." Chima smiled for the first time in weeks. That night, Nkiru fainted beside her mat. From that day, her strength faded quickly. Her hands trembled while fetching water. Her steps slowed. Food tasted like dust. Still, people came. And still, she listened. Each kindness carved another small crack inside her. Tiny, invisible, but growing. The crystal heart glowed weakly now. Its cracks had spread. At last, the oldest elder went to her. He found Nkiru sitting alone beneath the udara tree. "You are carrying what was never meant for one heart," he said gently. She looked up, eyes rimmed with exhaustion. "If I let go," she whispered, "will they hurt again?" The elder had no answer. Love, he knew, always asked for more than it returned. That night, the village heard a sound they would never forget. A soft, aching hum, like a cry trapped inside stone. The crystal heart glowed violently. Light spilled through the cracks. Nkiru woke clutching her chest, gasping as if her heart and the crystal were beating together. She stumbled towards the shrine. When she touched the crystal heart, her knees buckled. I am tired, she whispered, but I am not done. The light softened. The crystal did not break, but neither did it heal. By morning, Amankwu was silent again. Too quiet. People felt the heaviness creeping back. Not fully, but enough to remind them what had been taken from Nkiru and never returned. For the first time, guilt stirred. They had leaned, they had rested, they had not carried. And Nkiru, small, silent Nkiru, was growing thin beneath the weight of their hearts.